This is the instructional how-to video for the James Bush trailer. We're going to go over the features of how your brand new concession trailer operates and the shutdown procedures. You'll see here I've got the lights on, exhaust fan on, I've got gas in the system, all of the equipment lit. So we'll go ahead and go over the water system right quick. You've got your water fill box. This is for filling your fresh water tank itself and using the water pump. If you need to clean or sanitize the tank, you can do so through this port. So this is the non-pressure side. Or if you want to bypass the water pump and freshwater tank itself, you can hook up your food grade water hose to this port here and move this flap out of the way and be able to lock up so nobody can tamper with this side of the water source. Again, this is the pressurized side, no tank, no pump. This is the water tank and water pump itself. Right below here, about 3 feet away, is our waste drain valve for the waste tank itself. You can hook up a 3-inch RV hose to this port here, or you can hook up a 3/4 inch regular hose pipe. Once your hose is hooked up, this gate valve slides out of the way and water will flow out. Once that's finished, do make sure that you close that back up, put your cap back in place. Go ahead and let that drain out. Got your motor base plug here plugged in. I'm hooked up to my building or shore power. You have crank jacks on all 4 corners to help level and stabilize. Just use a 3/4 inch socket and an impact gun and distribute the weight equally for lifting the trailer itself. Your 100-pound tanks, your tanks are empty. They're pinned in place and strapped in place for proper transport. You've got a 2-stage regulator on each tank, rated at 450,000 BTU. This meaning the on position, quarter turn to the side, and it will turn it off. So as far as my tank that I'm hooked up to, I turned the tank on, activating pressure to the line itself. I had the line off upon startup and had the hood system on. When you turn this valve on, you'll hear a charge of the line. It's an instantaneous split second just charge and no gas running through. If you hear rapid gas running through this 2-stage regulator, that does mean that there is either a potential break in the line from road debris and transport, or one of the pilots, or not pilots, but the control knobs is left in the on position. So when you come to start up your trailer, always open up the window, make sure that all the control knobs for the gas appliances are in the off position. And then again, charging the line all the way to the shut-off valve, turning this on, listening through this 2-stage regulator would identify if there was a problem before you ever start operation. Now once you're up and cooking and your equipment's at running temperature or running speed, you will hear gas coming through this, but that is being that all of the burners are activated and going, and so that is normal. But upon startup, you should hear no gas coming through this regulator. Right now the pilots are lit and you cannot hear the gas coming through this regulator. Once I turn the burners on and activated, they are good to go. But again, no gas coming through upon startup itself. Got your concession window open, flip up counter set in place. Let's see, we're able to see all the lights on. Always make sure that your lug nuts are tight before any transport. And also once a year, you want to take and either take it to a trailer shop, or if you have a grease gun yourself, you'll remove the rubber cap, and there is a Zerk fitting for greasing the bearings on each wheel hub itself. You got roller wheels here at the rear to protect the crank jacks on the rear of the trailer. Your removable gate is or your rear gate is removable. For transport, always make sure that you have a pin in both sides so that the gate cannot come off during transport. Also, we have this side as a removable side feature, as you had indicated you wanted as well. We've got 4 stationary D-rings here on the porch itself. You got your lights here on the ceiling. Screen door open. Plug right behind the screen door on the driver's side rear wall. Indicating the plug working correctly. Here, as soon as you walk in on the passenger side, is your interior and exterior light switches. Well, these are the exterior light switches. This is the interior switch by itself. We walk in, we have our fridge sitting at 36 degrees. All of the paperwork in its original packaging, headwork for the fridge itself, all the racks and wheels that come with the equipment. Do make sure that you read each manual for each piece of equipment for proper cleaning functionality. Stainless steel table with a roll top, lower shelf below. We're here on the passenger side. The plugs in between the sandwich prep and the refrigerator itself. Sandwich prep, 8 pans up top, paperwork as well. Sitting at a nice 35 degrees. Refrigeration below also. Cutting board is removable for cleaning. We have our stainless steel counter here at the concession window itself. Water pump switch, accessible right here on the passenger side, right next to the window. Go ahead and go over the water heater. Before I ever put power to the water heater itself, I made sure that I had continuous water flow. Sorry about that. There we go. Turn that water up a little bit. There we go. $112, still climbing. Yeah. Three-bin sink also. Again, making sure that you have continuous water flow out of both hot water faucets before you ever plug the water heater in below. Got your control valve for the tank, control valve for dumping the water out of the tank, and control valve for the winterization port, which is in a separate video itself. Plenty of storage space for your cleaning chemicals. Go around to the driver's side. We have our worktop fridge sitting at a nice 32 degrees. This is the exhaust fan switch itself. We do have our control head right above the worktop fridge, and also our fire suppression tank here on the upper shelf out of the way. Upper shelving going around. We have our battery for the 12-volt lighting system and water pump. Our fuse panel for the 12-volt system. Our battery charger, and then our 100-amp panel with all the circuits being 20 amp and independent. Exhaust fan, again, needs to be on before you ever turn the propane on. Also, never turn the hood system off, which I'll go over that here momentarily after we finish with the gas equipment here momentarily. So we'll go ahead and go over the deep fryer itself. Again, having the pilot light burning itself. It's in the on position, and we have control for the actual burner itself. So for startup procedures, I'll go ahead and turn this back off. It's easier to do this showing it working it first. So what I always do is this off position, meet the red dot, on, off, on, off. Hearing the thermostat connect with the gas valve. Rotate to where the L meets the red dot and allows you to push in. You have to push in here and administer fire to the thermopile that was just lit. Once that is lit and turns to an orange color, you will slowly release this pilot button. As long as you can release here and your thermopile is lit, you can activate and turn to the on position, and then you have full control for your thermostat itself. If when letting off this thermopile does not stay lit, repeat the processes as indicated before, on, off, on, off. There is a drain tube in the freezer part for draining the oil before transportation. Do make sure that you have that oil going into an approved container for if it's hot oil. Also, this shield here is removable for accessing the thermopile, but if removing, always make sure you put back in place to keep the flames and heat inside. In case oil was to spill over, you don't want that to catch on fire. We'll go ahead and navigate over to the oven part of the 4 or 24-inch range. This stays in the off position. This is your pilot button that you will have to hold into place. When holding in here, you will press here like a grill lighter itself. You can see your pilot light activated. Once that's activated, you can slowly let off the pilot button and then close this shield here itself. For demonstrational purposes, I will go ahead and turn the burner on so that you can see it functioning properly. The unit does come with one shelf, 5 different positions. The heat comes from not only the bottom, but also the sides and rear of the unit itself. Do make sure that when you are finished, you turn this back to the off position. Also, while the door is open, I will go ahead and demonstrate how to light the griddle itself. As you can see, where are we at? There we go. You see the pilot light lit. Never force light any of the equipment. What I mean by force lighting is this always stays in the off position. As indicated in the very beginning, there's enough propane coming out of that pilot light to ignite. So for lighting the oven itself, this will stay in the off position. You will press the pilot button here and administer the grill lighter, so to speak, until you see your pilot light lit like so. Once that is lit, then you can slowly release this button, making sure that your pilot stays on. At that point, you can close this door if you choose to. For demonstrational purposes, I will go ahead and activate the burner at 350 degrees so you can see it working. Again, closing that. Once finished, do make sure that you turn that back to the off position. You got one rack, 5 different slots. The heat comes from the bottom and also the sides of the unit itself. We'll also show you for lighting purposes for your griddle. Never need to force light anything. So again, there's enough fuel coming out for the pilot light to be lit, as you see here, with this in the off position. You'll need lighters like this for lighting all of your equipment. It is easy to go right below the plate, but in between the oven. And because propane is heavy and falls, all you have to do is administer your flame underneath, and it will light your pilot light like so. Once your pilot's going, then you can activate your burner itself. Do make sure that you turn this back off when not needed. You do have a drain pan for cleaning your griddle itself. You'll need to clean this properly, reading the manual and the instructions for the cleaning purposes itself. For your burners, same thing for those. Off position for both of these. Again, enough propane's coming out that you can administer fire right there to the pilot. Same thing for this pilot. Once your pilot lights are going, then you can turn on your burners for operation. If by chance one of your pilot lights goes out and you turn your gas on and you go to turn your other gas on and don't see an instant flame, make sure that you turn this back off and administer lighting your pilot again. There is a drip pan here below. It will need to be put in proper transport or proper place for transport itself. Same thing for the charbroiler also for this pan. These stay in the off position also. You put your lighter right in between both pilots and light them at the same time. Once you have your pilots lit, you can activate your burners. We'll come over to the last piece of equipment, which is our freezer at -6 degrees. In the freezer, you will find the lava rock for the charbroiler, the legs for the deep fryer, and the drain tube, as well as the paperwork for the fryer, also the paperwork for the freezer, and the for the chromes in the deep fryer for draining. You also have a manual in here for the your range and also the charbroiler itself. I'm going to go ahead and turn the gas off so we can turn the hood system off. Again, always turn the gas off at the valve itself, and your tank will do the same thing for turning the tank off so that no gas is coming in from the tank and or the line. This is always for shutdown procedure and transportation procedure. Once your propane's off, you can turn that exhaust fan off itself. So again, we have our fire suppression system, control head, and tank. Once this pin's pulled, it swings to the left. This system, which everything in this tank, will come out of these nozzles. Or automatically, and this is why you also want to run the hood system. Removing the filters, you will see there's heat sensors behind each piece of equipment. So if you have all of this equipment running and not the hood system on, the heat would end up being trapped up top and pop the sensors. Thus more, everything in that red tank will come dumping out of these nozzles It will end up costing about $2,000 for cleanup and a week's time being shut down. Again, the filters are removable. You will need to clean these filters periodically. Also, you'll need to set up periodic maintenance, probably once a quarter, for cleaning the exhaust fan itself, depending on how much grease gets past these filters. Mild soap, mild degreaser, and warm to hot water for cleaning the filters. Make sure you leave ample time for drying. So if you did them at nighttime and let them dry till the next morning, you'll be perfectly fine. There's also a grease cup right behind this packet here that hooks into the 2 dowel pins and your drain tray here. So grease that doesn't stay in the filter comes to the tray, ends up in the cup. Monitor that cup daily. Nobody other than a licensed fire suppression company needs to tamper with the system. When you get this back to your hometown state, you'll need to have your local fire suppression company and fire marshal come out and tag and certify the system. AC unit. Actually, let's see what temp we're reading. We're sitting at 50 degrees. So always make sure that you turn that back to the off position, as you see here, when you're finished for the day. Make sure that your roof vent is fully closed when done. If you want to turn the freezer off, there is a button here. You turn the freezer off itself. And same thing right across from the fridge, you can turn that unit off. The sandwich prep and the worktop refrigerator will turn off with the trailer itself. Always make sure that you turn these lights off as well, so that you do not drain the battery once the trailer is unplugged. Door will be able to shut, and use your bar lock for proper latching and safety. As always, we indicate that you should always make sure that both left and right blinker, brake lights, and your running lights are working before you ever transport the trailer. Also make sure that the crank jacks are in the upright position. Make sure lug nuts and tire pressure are good to go. Once a year, you'll need to apply grease to the bearings for proper usage. Door will shut down and latch. We will provide pin. You can lock it if you need to. Always make sure that there's a pin at least in one side of the door latch, and in the middle of the counter itself there's a screw. Use that as an indicator. Pressing upward in the middle allows that to roll back to the down position. Same thing for setup. It's pressing upward for the setup itself. For your power cord, you'll need to make sure that you disconnect your power cord from your power source, and then at that point you can unlock this, swivel, quarter turn, and pull the plug out and close the lid. Make sure that you put your power cord in a safe place for transportation. Also, hose pipe and drain hose need to be in a safe position, and as always, the propane system turned off all gas supplies. We thank you for taking the time to view this video. It's meant for instructional purposes to help keep everybody safe. If you have new employees or people that are not acquainted with the equipment, definitely have them watch the video. If you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We'll be glad to assist in any ways. We wish you the very best, and thank you for your purchase.